Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I did a video over a year ago about Dollar General and the oil they sell. And I had gotten the story from a place called carcomplaints.com and David Wood, who wrote it. And he sent me a note yesterday and said, "Hey, Steve, you did a video about a story I wrote, carcomplaints.com, about Dollar General oil. And I wanted to let you know there's been an update to the story, so here we go. And there's been a settlement reached in the Dollar General motor oil lawsuit. So it all has to do with the oil that was on the shelves at Dollar General. You might see a thing that says, it's SAE 10W40, right? So you go, well, my car takes 10W40. But if you read on the back, you might discover a warning that says that this is not suitable for your car. And that's what the gravamen of the complaint was. Dollar General has agreed to settle a motor oil lawsuit which alleged that Dollar General Auto SAE 10W30 and 10W40 sold between 2010 and 2017 is obsolete and potentially harmful for vehicle engines made after 1988. So the motor oil class action also alleges Dollar General Auto SAE 30 oil can't be used in engines manufactured after 1930. So if you were driving around in a 1929 automobile and you bought your SAE 30 at Dollar General, you'd be fine. But not many people are doing that these days. The plaintiffs allege they were misled by Dollar General's labeling and placement of the motor oil in the stores, which caused them to purchase the oil believing it was suitable for use in their vehicles. Now, Dollar General denies the claims, says the labels indicate all the details about the motor oil. And a lot of these things are true in the sense that if you take the can of oil or bottle of oil off the shelf and read the front, and it goes, 10W40, SAE, okay. But if you flip it over in the back, it'll often have a bunch of little codes that most people don't understand, and that's where you run afoul of good oil. According to the fine print on the 10W30 and 10W40 bottle labels, the oil is, quote, not suitable for use in most gasoline-powered automotive engines built after 1988, and may not provide adequate protection against the buildup of engine sludge. So again, on the front, type of oil, on the back, the little disclaimer about it not being suitable for most cars. The labels on Dollar General Auto SAE 30 containers say the motor oil is not suitable for use in most gasoline-powered automobile engines built after 1930. And use in modern engines may cause unsatisfactory engine performance or equipment harm. And, this is 2020. 1930 is a while back. Included in the class action are U.S. consumers who purchased any of the following Dollar General motor oils for personal use between September 1st, 2010 and December 31st, 2017. And it's the three types of oil. Dollar General SAE 10W30 SF specification. Dollar General SAE 10W40 SF specification. And Dollar General SAE 30 SA specification. Dollar General has also agreed to stop selling the motor oil under its Dollar General Auto label, and the company agreed to add more oversight over how it packages auto products. Now, here's the tricky part. Possible settlement benefits include partial or full reimbursement for the motor oil or if the oil caused property damage. Now, I don't know how many people would save their receipts from when they bought motor oil back in 2010, and here we are in 2021, but it's possible. Customers who submit a valid claim form without proof of purchase may claim $1.68 per quart, up to 10 quarts of oil, but there is a limit of one claim form per household. Okay? Now, also, customers who submit a valid claim form for full refunds will need to provide proof of purchase to receive funds for the entire purchase price of the motor oil. Proof of purchase can be a receipt or the original UPC code removed from the bottle with time-stamped and date-stamped photos of the front and back labels of each motor oil bottle. Those photos must show the product after the UPC code is removed. The settlement also says it's possible other documentation may be provided if it reasonably establishes the fact and date of purchase of the products during the class period in the United States. In addition, a customer must choose between partial refunds or full refunds, but cannot submit a claim for both. Now, you're already saying, Steve, slow down. Oh, no. There's more coming. Customers seeking reimbursement for property damage in a vehicle built after 1988 that used 10W30 or 10W40, or after 1930 if they used SAE 30, may submit a property damage claim form. Now, here's the real problem here, is that if you used this oil in your car once or twice, it probably didn't destroy your engine. The problem is that it would simply have increased the wear and or the sludge buildup in that time frame. So how many of these engines failed because of this? It's hard to say. But you can submit a property damage claim form that includes proof of ownership of the vehicle at the time it was damaged, repair receipts, estimates or work orders related to the damage, and an affidavit from a mechanic or other person who diagnosed your vehicle's damage. If your vehicle damage was diagnosed by an ASE certified mechanic, you must include an affidavit with the following information: proof that the certified mechanic personally repaired or diagnosed the damage to your vehicle through physical inspection of the vehicle at the time the engine damage occurred, a statement that no other obvious cause of damage was identified, and a narrative explanation as to how the certified mechanic was able to make the diagnosis and assert it was the use of the DG Auto motor oil that caused the damage rather than other causes. So let's assume that you actually qualified because back in 2011, 10 years ago, you put this motor oil in your car, and let's just assume for my hypothetical purposes that the engine exploded because this happened. You take it to a mechanic at that time, and he goes, "This is crazy. How'd this happen?" You go, "I don't know. I just put oil in it, and this happened." And he goes, "Oh, let me see the oil." And you show him the oil, and he goes, "Wow, this stuff isn't certified for use in this car. That's crazy. Shouldn't have used it." So that mechanic fixes your car, and you pay the mechanic, and you go on with your life. That's 10 years ago. Okay? Do you have those oil bottles? Do you have the receipts from that engine repair? Do you know where that mechanic is today? I mean, it's possible you do, but it's highly unlikely, it seems. So if your vehicle damage was diagnosed by someone other than an ASE certified mechanic, you must include an affidavit with the following information: a statement that no other obvious cause of damage was identified, a list of relevant experience supporting his or her ability to make the diagnosis, and a narrative explanation as to how he or she was able to make the diagnosis and assert it was the use of the DG Auto motor oil that caused the damage rather than other causes. Okay? So it goes on, but a customer who submits a valid property damage claim form with the required information, including an affidavit from the mechanic, may be entitled to a one-time cash payment, depending on the vehicle damage, of up to $2,250 for certain vehicles and up to $1,250 for other vehicles. And it's based on the mileage and the years. I'm not going to get into this because if you're interested in this, I'll put a link to the article in the description below, and you can look up all the different hurdles you got to jump. A customer who submits a property damage claim form with the required information, including an affidavit from someone other than the mechanic, may be entitled to a one-time cash payment up to $500 in some circumstances, up to $350 in other circumstances. And then it goes on and on to talk about this. The only way to receive a motor oil refund is to submit a valid claim form no later than June 8th of this year. Property damage claims form must be submitted online by August 23rd of this year. Attorneys representing consumers have requested $10 million in fees and expenses. Now, nothing is official yet, as the judge must grant final approval of the settlement. The final approval hearing is scheduled for June 22nd. And in this article, which again is linked below, Dollar General motor oil lawsuit claim forms can be found here, and there's a link in that article. I did include the part about the attorneys requesting $10 million in fees and expenses. And I do that because someone will ask, of course, how much money the attorneys make. And number two, how many hoops do they have to jump through? Do they have to submit an affidavit, including stuff from 10 years ago, proving that, their work is much easier in that respect. But they actually did do a ton of work here. And I don't know how much money was set aside to settle these claims. This apparently consolidates and resolves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. This takes care of 19 different lawsuits, but excludes state lawsuits filed in New Mexico and Mississippi. So if you're in New Mexico or Mississippi, this doesn't apply to you, look it up. But these other 19 lawsuits were all taken care of. And so if they got Dollar General to put up a pretty big fund to solve these problems, And if it takes care of a lot of people, that might make complete sense. Class action attorneys get paid for a variety of things, including the time they put into the work, what they bill by the hour that's reasonable, and then, of course, the results they get. And there's a few other factors that go in, but those are the three biggies. And so I have some people who say, Steve, if an attorney says he charges like $2,000 an hour, that's absurd. Well, a judge won't necessarily approve that, though. So when they have a fee hearing on something like this, they will submit to the court a brief that explains how much they want and how they reached that math. And judges quite often will look at it and go, okay, how difficult was the litigation? How long was the litigation? How much work was really put into this? And did you really need to have 6 senior partners go out to lunch and discuss it that one day? Or could the junior partners have had lunch in the conference room that day? And so the judge will go through and often fly spec it, as they say, and nitpick and go, okay, I'm going to give you this, but I'm not going to give you this. Or you're asking for this rate, I'm going to give you this rate. That happens. There's a hearing on that, and they'll determine that. But they have asked for $10 million in fees and expenses. But it looks like they got a pretty decent settlement out of it. But again, unfortunately, I suspect that the vast number of people who used Dollar General motor oil that was not appropriate for their cars, number one, don't know about it. Just they don't know about it. How would they know? The average person walks into a store, buys a thing of oil because they just discovered their car was low a quart and decided to drop a quart in quickly. Walk into Dollar General, put the quart of oil in, throw the bottle away. Don't want that in the car. And you go on with your life. And somewhere down the road, that thing sludged up a couple days or weeks earlier than it would have otherwise. That's basically it. And, so a lot of people who bought it didn't know it, still don't know it, might never know it. But on the off chance that you used the bad oil and it caused an engine failure, you can actually get your money back, assuming you can jump through all these hoops and fulfill all these obligations. So there you go. But David Wood wrote this article and the previous article. I'll also link to that video below if you want to see the original one. He writes for carcomplaints.com, carcomplaints.com. And the headline is Dollar General Motor Oil Lawsuit Settlement Reached. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. An optimist turns problems into opportunities. The pessimist does the reverse.